Hello, hidden gems. Before I continue too far into this live episode tonight, I want to make sure that the mic is working. We had a bit of a microphone mishap at the beginning of our stream because of Wi Fi issues. Thank you to those in chat, though, that helped us fix it. It was incredible. So I figured I'd do a little mic check with all of you. I lived in New England. I actually lived in Cambridge in my early 30s. So about a decade ago, and it's good to be back. So I love this area. I guess I should let people know that too, because I always talk about being a West Coast girl. But yeah, I was born in New York City. I lived in Massachusetts briefly as an adult. I lived in Washington D.C. briefly. I know that that's further away, but anyway, I love New England. I love the books, the libraries, the coffee shops. That's what I think of the history when I'm here. It was a place I always wanted to come back to. I never thought I would come back for this heartbreaking trial that wasn't in my life plans, but I certainly love New England. And it's good to be back. So, all right. Also, it was also a very foggy, chilly day today in Plymouth. The coffee, I mentioned those coffee shops, that smell. The coffee was hot and the line was actually quite welcoming, as many of us day 3 now are getting to know one another and greeting each other as friends, processing each day in court together as we stand in line. So and honestly, the fog, the rain, the wind, it was refreshing, and it's a little bit why my hair looks this way if you're watching live too. But so as we excuse me, I'm sorry. 1 second. Let me grab a drink. So, today was a day of first responders, essentially. And if you notice that a lot of their testimonies that we're about to go over sound very similar, you're not alone, because they were. Every firefighter, every paramedic, and every officer who took the stand was describing the same chaotic scene from January 24th, 2023, from their own angle, though, what they saw, which is exactly why the defense, Kevin Reddington, objected to having so many of them testify. Because the defense argues that because these accounts are cumulative, meaning they're samesies, same, repetitive enough, the jury simply doesn't need to hear them all. But Judge Sullivan, has allowed all of the witnesses so far, and the prosecution obviously wants to make sure their narrative and their facts stick, that they can't be argued. And so the more witnesses they have that confirm what was happening on scene that horrific day is better for the prosecution, who want their narrative to be fact for the jury, to not be questioned. So the Commonwealth, the prosecution today, did just that. They walked the jury through each responder's experience from their side, one by one. And then a few things to note from the courtroom that I'm seeing before court begins. 1 second. Patrick Clancy is no longer there. The media is a bit more sparse. There's still a lot of media there, but more sparse. More media, though, than the public. A lot fewer public attendees today. That's all I really could notice, except I did also notice, I'll just say this before we get into these testimonies, Prosecutor Shannon Buckingham's hair bow. I was directly behind her, and the bow was in the back of her hair. So it was like all I could see whenever I looked up. I just would see Buckingham's bow. And that's what I kept calling it, Buckingham's bow. And I know that nice hair bows for adults are a thing again. Like, just ask Lily Sadugi or Lily Pulitzer. I know that. But I mean, it looked very English. And then the fact that the prosecutor's last name is Buckingham, I was like, it's just like too perfect. Buckingham's bow. So those are three of the things I think about, random thoughts inside my head while in the courtroom, while I'm focusing on things that aren't too terribly sad. And I'll leave it at that because now we're about to jump into the terribly sad things. So Buckingham's bow was maybe a little bit of a bright spot. Anyway, but now on to what this whole day was about, and that is simply sadness and heartbreak. So the first witness up was Officer Stephen Hall. He worked for the Duxbury Police Department, and he has been there about 11 years. ADA Jen Sprague walked him through everything. She started by going over the timeline. January 24th, 2023, his shift was the 4 to midnight. He was alone in a marked cruiser, just doing routine patrol. And then around 6:11 p.m., dispatch sent him to 47 Summer Street. He remembered that he had been over at the Lincoln Street Fields, so it took him maybe 7 to 10 minutes to get there. And when he pulled up, it looked like a normal house. The gate on the left side was open, and that's where he headed. He said he arrived at the same time as Officer Josephine. They both went straight toward the backyard because they could hear a man calling out from that side. And that man turned out to be Patrick Clancy. Hall said that Patrick was upset and didn't seem to know what was going on. Hall didn't see anyone else in the yard at first, but then he saw Lindsay on the ground. And Lindsay was lying on the right side of the backyard, her head toward the house and her feet pointed away from the house. He noticed cuts on both of her wrists and on the left side of her neck. None of them were actively bleeding. She was semi-conscious, according to Hall, drifting in and out, moving her head a little, moaning like she was in pain. She could not speak. Firefighters started arriving, and Hall ran back to the gate to direct them. Patrick stayed outside for a moment and then said he needed to check on his children, and he went inside through the back slider door. And not long after Patrick went in, Hall heard a radio call, dispatch, saying that Patrick couldn't wake them up. He didn't really understand what that meant at first. And then that's when he heard a scream from inside the house. Not words, just a sound, screaming. And he and Officer Josephine ran through the slider. You could tell that recalling all of this was extremely painful for Hall. He was breathing really hard and fast, and you could tell that this has affected him a lot. Hall explained that they entered the kitchen. You could hear Patrick talking from the basement, so they headed down the stairs. And at the bottom, they had to choose left or right. They heard Patrick's voice coming from the right, so they went that way. Hall remembered Patrick saying, "I can't wake them up. I can't get them up." The room they entered looked like a workout area. Patrick came out of a back room. So Hall and Officer Josephine, that's why they ran into that room. Ultimately, he actually pointed out a very descriptive detail. He explained that as they got into the basement, he saw a picture right on the wall of Lindsay and Patrick. I thought that was so descriptive. And he said at that moment they had to make a choice, right or left, because you had to turn. And so he was looking at that picture of this beautiful married couple on the wall. And because the screams were coming from the right, that's why they went to that room. And that's why they went there first. And that is when Hall, on the left side, saw the body of a young child, and the child was on his back, feet toward the door, head toward the door, shirtless, just a diaper or underwear. And Hall said that the child was discolored, bluish purple. He later learned that this child's name was Dawson. And we learned that, yes, Dawson was in dinosaur underwear and a shirt. He also saw an exercise band in that room. After seeing Dawson, Hall called for paramedics and a supervisor. Officer Josephine picked Dawson up and they ran him outside to the ambulance.
The next two exhibits, please.
All right, they may be admitted.
Sir, did you head to that back room?
I did.
And what did you see when you got to that back room?
Just past the door on the left side, there was a body of a young child.
And do you remember what position the child was in?
He had his feet towards the door and his head towards the wall.
And was he on his back or his stomach? Or...
He was on his back.
And do you recall what he was wearing?
He was shirtless. I believe he was just in a diaper or underwear of some sort.
And showing you
Thank you.
Exhibit 93, if you wouldn't mind just pointing out where you saw his body.
Just in this area.
Record reflect he's pointing to the area of the yellow exercise band.
It may reflect that.
And sir, that yellow exercise band, did you see that in that position when you saw the body of the child on the floor?
Yes.
Exhibit 94 was that position. Sir, did you later learn that child's name was Dawson Clancy?
I did.
And can you describe his physical appearance when you saw him?
He was discolored, like a bluish purple.
Do you remember what his face and neck looked like?
No.
What happened next?
I called for paramedics to come to the basement. I also called for a supervisor, and Officer Josephine picked up the child, and we ran him outside through the front door to the ambulance.
And did you do anything after that, after giving Dawson to EMTs?
We ran back down into the basement to check to see if we could find other children.
So you heard him just say there they went back down to the basement to see if they could find other children. And yes, you heard that heavy breathing in the microphone. We could hear that clearly in the courtroom too. You could tell that this was affecting him. It was really sad. So he said that the reason they went back down to the basement is because he had heard Patrick say them. It wasn't just one child. He knew it wasn't a him, it was them. So Hall believed there were more children. And this time they went left the other direction, because remember they had gone right towards Patrick's screams. Now they went left. And in that room, as they turned left, two more children were on the floor motionless, and EMTs already working on those children. He later learned that those children were Cora and Callan. Hall asked if the medics needed equipment. They asked for a heart monitor. He tried to find it, but the fire captain was too upset to give direction, so Hall went back downstairs. Eventually, he was told an officer needed to be with Lindsay, so he went back outside. She was still on the ground near the right side of the house. Paramedics were treating her. When Hall looked up, he saw an open window with blood around the frame and blood on the shingles below the frame. He did not see any ripped screens on the ground. He asked the paramedic what he could do. They said she kept taking off her oxygen mask, so Hall kept putting it back on her. That's interesting, right? And then he helped get her onto the stretcher and into the ambulance. That was it. The Commonwealth finished. And the defense did not ask him anything on cross-exam. The next witness was Officer Brian Josephine from the Duxbury Police Department, because we heard about Josephine and Hall's testimony. Well, Sprague handled his questioning too. He had been with Duxbury since 2020, and before that, he spent almost 5 years with Plymouth Police. In January 2023, he was working as a school resource officer for Alden and Chandler, kindergarten through 5th grade. But that night, he had picked up an overtime shift. He was supposed to work until 8, but it was still part of the 4 to midnight sort of rotation, shift rotation. He was in full uniform in a marked cruiser. And just like Hall, he got the dispatch call around 6:11 p.m. and he headed straight to 47 Summer Street. He was close by, so it only took him 3 or 4 minutes. Dispatch was giving him a description of the house as he drove, and he said it took maybe 15 seconds to spot it. He parked in the street and went into the mudroom door, through the mudroom door, to see if he could get in that way. It was locked, so he radioed dispatch again to confirm where exactly they needed to go. Well, they told him the party was around back, so he headed that way. Sorry, I turned the camera off for a little bit because this is what I'm using. Didn't want to do it in front of you guys. Okay. Forgive me. So we went around the right side of the house, past the cars, around the garage, and hopped over a fence to get into the backyard. And when he came around the corner, he saw 2 people, one lying on the ground and one standing over Lindsay. So he, excuse me, sorry, over not Lindsay, over her, excuse me. He started moving toward the, looking at my notes here. So he started moving towards the far end of the house. And by the way, after telling you yesterday that I was not going to live post, that's what I did today on X. So that happened too. So you guys can follow me on X. But one line on the ground, looking at my X notes here. Okay, right. So making sure I have it clear. So the standing person was Patrick, and the person on the ground was Lindsay. Hall came in from the opposite direction, so they met up in the yard. Josephine said the Patrick was standing over Lindsay, trying to communicate with her. He had a cell phone in his left hand, kind of down by his side. Patrick turned, walked past Josephine quickly, headed toward the deck. He didn't say anything. Josephine went straight to Lindsay. He tried to talk to her, asking where she was hurt, what she needed, but she only mumbled. He saw cuts on her right wrist and the right side of her neck. They were bleeding, but not heavily. So there's some differences in accounts here, whether they were bleeding, whether they were not bleeding. He says they're bleeding, but not heavily. He said they didn't look life-threatening. He didn't feel the need to use a tourniquet or any of the medical equipment he carried. Fire personnel started arriving, and he turned medical care over to them. He said he had been talking to Lindsay for maybe 30 seconds to a minute before they showed up, and then he and Hall were standing near a window when they heard loud screams. They tried to figure out where it was coming from. Something came over the radio about the basement, and so they ran toward the deck and went inside the sliding doors. They entered the kitchen and could still hear the screaming coming from the basement. They went down the stairs, and at the bottom, the basement split into the 2 sides. The screaming was coming from the right, so they went that way. That side opened into 2 rooms. The first room was dark and cluttered. Patrick was in the back room, and then he explained what happened. Take a listen.
Stairs, and there was a picture at the bottom of the stairs, I believe, of Lindsay and Patrick, and the basement splits off into 2, a right and a left area, and the screams were coming from the right area, so that's where we directed our attention to first.
Okay. And did you see Patrick?
Yes, that right side opens up, and it's like 2 rooms, I believe. So we went into the first room, which was kind of dark, and there was some cluttered stuff around, and Patrick was in that back room at the time.
So showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 92. Is that the doorway into that back room?
Yes, it is.
And then Exhibit 93, is that the inside of that back room?
Yes, it is.
And Do you recall what, if anything, Patrick was saying as you encountered him?
Upon his observation of us, myself and Officer Hall, he proceeded to head in our direction, leaving that room. And at that point, he looked up and he screamed, "She killed the fucking kids."
And after he said that, where did you go?
Once he cleared himself from the door frame, we were able to look inside the room where we observed what appeared to be a child laying motionless on the floor.
And did you later learn his name was Dawson Clancy?
Yes, I did.
And how was he positioned?
He was laying on his back, kind of close to the gym bag for reference of that.
Showing you exhibit 93 again, you referenced a gym bag. Is that the bag to the left of the pack, the child's toy?
Yes.
And so you're saying that he was in that area when you first saw him?
Yes, he was.
And do you recall whether he was on his back or his stomach or something else?
He was on his back.
And do you recall his physical appearance?
Like I said, he was laying on his back. His head was tilted to the right-hand side. Looked at him kind of in the face area once we got closer, and his face was white, gray, lips were blue, eyes were bloodshot, looked like blood vessels were popped in his eyes.
Did you notice any injuries to his neck?
Seeing that, my first instinct was to kind of grab his head and tilt it to the side, see if I could get a pulse. But I mean, based on my training experience from previous incidents, I knew it wasn't going to be good. So I moved the head. That's where I observed some red marks on that right-hand side.
Of the neck?
Yes.
And in that exhibit, 94, there was a yellow exercise band, correct?
Yes.
And I believe in prior testimony, you may have called it a blue exercise band. Is that correct?
Yes.
But it's clearly yellow in the photo, right?
Yes, it's clearly yellow. I mean, there was...
Testing the color of the exercise band.
Okay. Right, good.
So what was your focus at the time?
the child.
And once you saw him there with these injuries, what did you do?
Based on my observations, I knew there wasn't really much I could do. So I picked the child up, went chest to chest. And as I did that, it was kind of like a mucus or a foam that leaked out of his mouth onto me. I grabbed him, went back towards the way we came down into the basement, and I headed up to the stairs where Sergeant Homestead was coming down the stairs, and I started yelling to him to get out of the way. Went back up the stairs and then into the kitchen, directly adjacent to the stairs. There's the front foyer, like hallway, and I went out the main door into the driveway.
And was there an ambulance in the driveway at that time?
Yes, the ambulance was backing up and had pretty much just parked, and one of the fire was walking around to the stretcher out back. So I rushed over with Dawson and I put him on the stretcher, and that's when Sergeant Homestead and fire personnel started working further on him.
What did you do next?
I went back into the house.
And why did you go back into the house?
I remember hearing something about kids and multiple, and I just went back.
And
this time, when he got back in the basement, he went left. And in that room, he saw two more children, an older girl and a baby. And the older girl was Cora. Fire personnel were already working on both children. Josephine took over chest compressions on Cora, and he said Cora had the same physical signs as Dawson: pale tint, bluish lips, bloodshot eyes. But she also had dried blood just a little bit around her mouth. There was a large area of blood on the floor near her. He moved her slightly so he could position himself better for CPR. He kept doing compressions for what felt like forever. He eventually radioed for another officer, and Officer Cahill came down and helped. Josephine continued compressions while Cahill used a bag valve mask to give rescue breaths. The baby, we know that is Callan. They knew little baby Callan, though, as simply the baby. At that moment, the baby was taken out first because medics actually thought they might have found a faint pulse. And then Cora was taken out. Josephine and Cahill went back upstairs afterward, and in the kitchen, Josephine encountered Patrick again. He said Patrick was frantic, in shock, screaming, losing himself. They requested an ambulance for him too. And that was the end of his testimony. Once again, no cross-exam from the defense at all. Kevin Reddington was like, we're good. Next up was PJ Husey from the Duxbury Fire Department, and Sprague questioned him. He had been a firefighter for 32 years, and he was also a paramedic. He explained the difference. EMTs handle basic life support, but paramedics have advanced skills like intubation and administering certain medications. He talked about the training, the 2-year paramedic class, the state test, and then the continuing education every 2 years. He had passed all of it. He was a captain, the shift commander, and in January 2023, he was in that same role as shift commander. He oversaw firefighting and medical operations across the town. Duxbury had 2 stations about 10 minutes apart. The central station had a captain and 3 firefighters, and then the other 2 stations had 2. Most of them were paramedics, only 2 were EMTs. On January 24th, he was working his usual 24-hour shift, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. and the next day. So a very long 24-hour shift, 8 to 8. He remembered the call coming in a little after 6 p.m. They were dispatched to 47 Summer Street. He responded with his shift commander vehicle, Ambulance 1 and Engine 2. Normally the ambulance carried 2 people, but because of how serious the call sounded, they put 3 in it, a driver and 2 medics. Engine 2 had 2 firefighter medics, so 6 people total. Both stations responded at the same time. And when they arrived, police cruisers were already there. They headed straight to the backyard where Lindsay was on the ground. The paramedics treated her while they supervised the scene. He pointed out where he'd been standing. Lindsay was right below the far right basement window, and he was just to the left of it. While he was standing there, he heard a scream. He said it sounded like it came from the basement. He looked through the basement window, the metal window, and saw a man downstairs in that window. The light was on. He saw Patrick Clancy in the window unwrapping something from a child's head. Listen to this.
At some point in time while you were standing there, did you hear a loud noise?
I heard a scream.
And when you heard the scream, could you tell where it was coming from?
It sounded like it was coming from the basement.
And did you look anywhere in particular?
Yeah, I was able to look through the basement window and able to see a male person downstairs.
And when you say the basement window, are you referring to that first
Yes.
metal window?
Yes.
Well?
Yes.
That was in Exhibit 37. Just showing you, again on the screen here, what's been marked as Exhibit 50. This window here on the right, does that fairly represent the window that you looked through and could see down into that
Yes.
basement office?
Yeah.
And was the light on in the basement office when you
A
looked in?
light was on, yes.
And what did you see when you looked in the window?
After I heard the scream, I saw a older male gentleman, now knowing it was Patrick Clancy, unwrapping something from a child's head.
And when you saw the male unwrapping something, can you demonstrate the motion that they were doing?
Yeah, the child was on the ground. The head was towards the window, so the head was towards the back of the house, and he picked the child up, and he was in a circular motion, taking something off the head, around the neck.
And could you see the child's face?
Yes.
And what observations did you make of the child's face?
The head was blue.
And did you later learn that child was Dawson Clancy?
Yes.
It was that moment that he realized they had yet another patient. Lindsay was already critical, and now there was a child in the basement. So he immediately put out what's called an all call, a recall for all Duxbury personnel to come back if they were available. He also requested a mutual aid ambulance from another town. Duxbury had 3 ambulances, but only one was staffed that night, so they needed help. And I have traveled to Duxbury. I've even passed the home. And it's a perfect town, right? It's just like beautiful. It's a dream town. And the home is rather tucked away, and it helped me understand why they realized they quickly needed other help. It's small, it's quaint, it's a small town, so they needed other towns. They needed backup. So soon after, they learned there were 2 more children, Cora and Callan. He called in 2 more ambulances. He said the scene became chaotic very fast, very quickly. Paramedics had to move from one patient to another as more victims were found. At first, all the paramedics were with Lindsay. But then as soon as they realized there were children inside, they split up. 1 paramedic stayed with Lindsay, 1 with Dawson, and 2 went to the other kids. Eventually, someone had to be assigned to Patrick too, but not right away. Yeah. And that was the end of his testimony. Again, no cross-examination. And then the Commonwealth called Loring Nutt, Loring. Loring Nutt, he goes by Chuck. And Attorney Buckingham questioned Loring Nutt. Chuck had worked as a firefighter EMT in Duxbury for a little over 30 years before retiring about a year ago, and he explained his role. As an EMT, most of their calls were medical. He had assisted paramedics, drive the ambulance, whatever was needed. He also did fire suppression and had gone through the academy. He broke down the EMT versus paramedic difference. EMTs handle basic life-saving techniques. Paramedics have advanced training and can administer certain medications and read cardiac monitors. So in Duxbury, firefighters were either EMTs or paramedics, but all were trained firefighters too. The town had its own ambulances in addition to fire engines and ladder trucks. He worked 24-hour shifts on one day, off one day, on 1, off 5. Then the shift, I think it ran 8 to 8 as well. The next morning on January 24th, 2023, he was on duty. And that day he'd been assigned as the backup guy on the ambulance at Central Station. They had a newer member, Daniel Doherty, who had just become a paramedic, and Chuck was there to support him. The other paramedic assigned to the ambulance was Kevin Heath. So around 6 p.m., they were dispatched to Summer Street. The initial call sounded like a second-floor fall, possibly a suicide attempt. They had no idea the children were involved. Chuck said the 2 paramedics sat up front so they could talk through the call, and he sat in the back as the backup. It took about 4 or 5 minutes to get there. Police cruisers had arrived just ahead of them. And when they pulled up, the paramedics noticed the cruisers were blocking the driveway. Chuck told them to get out and start the call while he handled the ambulance. He moved into the driver's seat and saw an officer getting ready to move a vehicle so that he could back the ambulance in. He managed to get into the driveway. Well, Heath and Doherty had already jumped out with their gear and they had headed to the back of the house. Chuck assumed they needed a stretcher. So he started pulling it out of the ambulance, right? And then as soon as he pulled the stretcher out of the ambulance, he saw an officer coming from the house carrying a child. It was Officer Homestead. Chuck called out, "Over here," and the officer placed the child on the stretcher that was already there. Chuck made immediate observations. The child's face was blue. There were marks around his neck, and his body was pale. This was Dawson. So they rolled Dawson into the ambulance so CPR could start. Chuck explained the ABCs: airway, breathing, circulation. Dawson was not breathing on his own, and Chuck could not secure an airway yet. There was no pulse. Chuck yelled for his captain, hoping someone would hear that he needed a medic in the truck. A paramedic eventually came. Not one of the 2 who had arrived with him, but another medic who had been directed to the ambulance. They started CPR and hooked Dawson up to the monitor to check for heart rhythm. The paramedic looked at the rhythm and decided they needed the monitor downstairs. So Chuck disconnected it and brought it to the basement. He didn't see much of the other children. He said they weren't crying and they were being treated by others. So after dropping off the equipment, he went back outside. His final role was driving the ambulance. He drove ambulance 1 to the hospital in Plymouth with Dawson in the back. That was the end of his testimony. No cross-examination. After Chuck, the Commonwealth called Keith Nettie. Shannon Buckingham questioned Keith Nettie. So Keith had been with the Duxbury Fire for about 17 years. He was a captain, a shift commander, and he was both a firefighter and a trained paramedic. On January 24th, he wasn't actually on duty. He was home. He thought he'd worked maybe 2 days before, but he wasn't sure. He was on a day, off a day. He explained how recalls work. Dispatch sends out a tone that triggers pagers at their home, and they also get text messages. Firefighters can respond voluntarily if they're available. Well, that night, just after 6 p.m., he heard the recall and drove straight to the scene in his personal truck. And when he arrived, he saw police and fire vehicles. He walked up the driveway and went right into the back of the ambulance. He said the only people he saw was, at first, paramedic Kevin Heath and Sergeant Homestead. The Duxbury ambulance was already in the driveway. Before he even got past the ambulance, he was asked to help. And in the back, he saw Homestead and Heath doing CPR on a child. He hadn't seen how the child got there. He arrived after Dawson had already been brought out of the house. He jumped in to help treat Dawson. His initial observations were stark. Dawson was blue and white, non-responsive, not breathing, no pulse. He later learned it was Dawson Clancy, about 3 years old. Keith and Heath tried everything they could. They attempted an IV, then moved to an IO, an interosseous access, which meant drilling into the bone marrow of the lower leg to deliver medication. He explained they had a manual drill that you twist until it enters the bone. They were able to get the IO in. They gave epinephrine through the IO, the medication meant to restart the heart. Dawson had no heart activity at all. And then they attempted intubation. Keith explained how intubation works. If you lift the airway to visualize the vocal cords and pass the tube through, Heath successfully intubated Dawson. They attached oxygen and a bag valve mask to push air into his lungs. And while treating him, Keith noticed dark red marks around Dawson's neck. All of this was happening in the back of the ambulance with Heath. Another Duxbury officer, Dan Doherty, was also present. Eventually, the ambulance was sent to Beth Israel, Plymouth. And on the ride, Dawson never regained a pulse. The bag valve mask never produced spontaneous breathing. The epinephrine did not start his heart or restart his heart. At the hospital, they wheeled Dawson into trauma 1 or trauma 2, moved him to the hospital bed, and transferred care. And I just want to say this. I remember something that Patrick Clancy said on the stand, that when he saw Dawson, he knew Dawson was gone in Patrick's brain. When these medics and paramedics and EMTs saw Dawson, they tried everything. When I heard about this whole thing and how much they tried to restart his heart and everything they tried to do, it was clearly, it touched me. They did everything they could to revive Dawson. Keith said he saw another child from the same home come in at that moment, brought by Marshfield Fire. He helped with compressions as they transferred that child to the emergency staff. He also saw Patrick at the hospital. Patrick was visibly upset. Keith helped to get him a chair in case he needed to sit down. He thought that was after the children had been declared. That was the end of his testimony, and once again, no cross-examination from the defense. Next up was Patrick Dwyer. Buckingham questioned him. He was a firefighter paramedic with Duxbury Fire, not in any supervisory role, just a frontline medic. He'd been with the department about 8 years and had gone through all of the training required for both firefighting and paramedic work. And then on January 24th, he was on a 24-hour shift, the usual 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. He was assigned to the engine at Station 2 on Franklin Street. His partner that day was Jennifer Stratton. She was driving the engine and he was in the officer's seat. Station 2 only had 2 people on shift at a time, so it was just the 2 of them. When the dispatch came in around 6 p.m., they had no information about children being involved. They headed to Summer Street and got there within a few minutes. It was dark out. As they approached the house, other firefighters were already there and directed them to the basement. They had originally been walking toward the backyard on the left side of the house, but they were redirected. They went through the backyard and entered the house through the sliding glass doors. And once inside, they headed straight down to the basement and went left at the bottom of the stairs. Down there, they saw 2 children on the ground and Patrick Clancy sitting on a couch. Dwyer said both children were in cardiac arrest. He started CPR on the 5-year-old girl, Cora. Stratton worked on the younger child, Callan. He described where Cora was, near the red stain on the floor in the photos. The baby was closer to the cardiac monitor. He pointed out the monitor in the photos. And then he described what he saw when he approached Cora. Take a listen here.
When you started to treat Cora, what were your observations of her when you came upon her?
I noticed she kind of looked like she had some burst blood vessels around her eyes.
Did you make any observations of the color of her skin?
It was kind of pale, bluish.
When you approach the patient, what's the first thing that you do to assess them?
I check for breathing, check for a pulse.
Did she have a pulse?
No,
Was she breathing?
no.
And when you're doing those things, are you able to make observations of the area around their face, like their nose and their mouth?
Yes.
In this circumstance with Cora, did you notice anything around her mouth?
Around her mouth? Not that I can recall.
When you are trying to assess her breathing, is there anything you do to try to resuscitate somebody or get them to breathe?
Yes, we would use a bag valve mask to help them breathe.
Did you do that for Cora?
Eventually, when we got the equipment down there, yes.
And were you able to use that device and get her to breathe on her own?
No.
And while you're utilizing that bag valve mask, fair to say you're in close contact and making observations of the patient's face and mouth, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated that you're not sure if you recalled seeing anything around her mouth?
Nothing particularly that I can think of.
Okay, if I may approach.
Yeah.
Just going to show you. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
What did you observe in or around Cora's mouth?
That she did have some blood in her mouth.
More responders came down to help. CPR requires multiple people, so they rotated through compressions and rescue breaths. Eventually, they were able to prepare Cora to leave the basement. Marshfield firefighters helped put her on a backboard and carry her up the stairs. She was placed into a Marshfield ambulance. Dwyer went with them to Beth Israel Plymouth. In the ambulance, they continued efforts, including using the cardiac monitor to shock her once. There was no response, no regained pulse at the hospital. They transferred her to the emergency staff. That was the end of his involvement. No cross-examination. Next up was Jennifer Stratton. Sprague questioned her. Jennifer had been with the Duxbury Fire for 12 years and had been a paramedic for about 13. She'd gone through all of the training, all of the certifications, everything you needed to do the job. And on January 24th, 2023, she was in the middle of a 24-hour shift that started at 8 that morning. She and firefighter paramedic Patrick Dwyer were the crew dispatched to Summer Street just after 6. She was the one driving the engine that night, and it took them maybe 4 or 5 minutes to get there. And when they pulled up, their ambulance crew had just arrived ahead of them and was already heading toward the backyard. Jennifer and Dwyer followed. In the backyard, she saw firefighter Dan Doherty kneeling next to someone. It was so dark that she could barely make out anything at first, but it turned out to be Lindsay. And right then, they heard someone yelling for them to get inside, saying there was a kid hanging in the basement. That's what they heard. They didn't hesitate. They went straight through the slider doors into the kitchen and headed down the basement stairs. At the bottom, you could go right or left. They went left. And the moment they turned that corner, they saw Callan and Cora lying face up on the ground. Jennifer immediately got on the radio and called for 2 more ambulances. Patrick ran to Cora, and she went straight to Callan. She described the room. Cora was to the left, near the equipment against the wall, and Callan was to the right, near the dresser. She confirmed the photos, the pajamas, the stethoscope, the blue exercise band. That was where Callan was. Next, she described how she cared for Callan. Listen to this.
Is that the area where Callan was found?
Yes.
And close up, Exhibit 99, you see the pajamas there, the stethoscope, and the blue exercise band.
Yes.
Do you recall removing Callan's pajamas to treat him?
I did, yes.
So when you went over to Callan, you remove his clothing. What do you do after that?
I didn't remove his entire onesie right away. Made sure that checked him for a pulse. He did not have one. Immediately started chest compressions on him.
Now, for this is an 8-month-old baby,
Yes.
correct? Is the way you do chest compressions for a baby different than other people, other ages?
Yes, because of the size, you have to scoop your arms around and you compress with your thumbs in the side.
I'll allow it.
So you said you have to put your hands underneath on the back of the child and then use your thumbs to do compressions?
Yes,
And is that what you did for Callan?
yes.
And what did you do next?
Continued CPR on him until more help and hands started to arrive on scene. We had an off-duty firefighter, Tom Brandt, come in, and he started to assist me. He took over compressions briefly while more help started to arrive.
When Brandt took over chest compressions, what did you do?
At that point, someone had brought down a bag valve mask to help us deliver oxygen to the child, and we started delivering oxygen to the child.
And at some point, did you remove the pajamas completely?
Yes.
And when you removed the pajamas completely, was that so someone could attempt to get IO access through the baby's legs? And was that successful?
That was not successful, no.
Is that difficult to do with a child that age?
It's a little more difficult. It's a less frequent practice skill, but
Were multiple attempts made to get the IV and access into the bone in Callan's leg?
I attempted once, and another provider attempted a second time. I don't remember who that was.
And neither attempt was successful? What did you do next? Oh, what was your answer?
For which
I'm sorry. Was either attempt successful?
No.
What did you do next?
Eventually, Kingston Fire arrived on scene to provide the ambulance for transport for Callan. I don't know how long we were in the basement for, but we did make the decision eventually it was time to get moving to the truck and start going to the hospital.
While you were working on Callan, did you notice any injuries on him?
Yes, he had deep strangulation marks around the entire circumference of his neck.
And throughout the entire time that you're in the basement, are chest compressions being done and you're trying to assist him with breathing?
Yes.
Did he, in the home, ever regain a pulse or the ability to breathe?
No, he did not.
Was he eventually taken to the ambulance?
Yes.
And how was he removed from the basement and brought to the ambulance?
I scooped him up in my arms and carried him outside to the truck.
And did you go with him in that transport to the hospital?
Yes.
And at any point in time, did he regain the ability to breathe or a heartbeat during that transport?
No, he did not.
Was care transferred to medical staff at Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth?
Yes, they were.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Rankin?
Those pajamas are so heartbreaking to see. Many of you mentioned them there. There is that last picture of Callan. I want to pull that up to show where he was later that day. That is so sad. Look at that smile. He was known as the very happy baby, just pleasant. There was no cross-examination. And then came Robert Costanzo from the Pembroke Fire Department. Sprague questioned him. He'd been with Pembroke since 2011 and had been working in EMS since 2006. He was a paramedic and had completed all the required training. And on January 24th, he was working an overtime shift and assigned to the ambulance. After 6 p.m., Duxbury put out a mutual aid call. Pembroke responded. Costanzo and his partner, Dan Smith, took their ambulance and headed to Summer Street. It took them about 5 to 8 minutes to get there, and when they arrived, the scene was already crowded. Multiple ambulances, multiple police cars, fire equipment. They were directed to the backyard. Lindsay was on the ground with the Duxbury firefighter. She was already secured to a long backboard with a C-spine collar. She was unresponsive but breathing. He later learned that this woman was Lindsay Clancy. He explained the equipment, the longboard used when there's a possible spinal injury, the collar around her neck. Duxbury had already started treatment before Pembroke arrived, and her wrists were bandaged with white bandaging. Nothing was seeping through. He saw superficial lacerations on her neck around the collar, but no active bleeding. She was moaning and groaning, but she was not speaking. They brought her to the ambulance. Costanzo was the medic in charge, and he and Smith did a full assessment without removing her from the board. And other than the injuries Duxbury had already found, they didn't see anything else. No cuts or bumps on her head, no obvious broken bones in her arms or hands. Their deputy chief, Jim Shade, drove the ambulance. They headed to South Shore Hospital. Costanzo said the drive was probably around 18 minutes, and in the back of the ambulance, they started treatment. They placed 2 IVs as a precaution. He noticed her pupils were constricted and she was unresponsive, so they treated her for a possible opioid overdose. He gave her 2 milligrams of Narcan. She did not wake up, but she did become a little more agitated, reaching out with her arms, still no verbal communication. He said she never fully woke up. Sprague asked about Narcan. He explained he'd given it many times before. Usually patients wake up or at least become more alert. Narcan works on opioids like heroin or fentanyl. It doesn't work on benzodiazepines. So Lindsay did not wake up. They monitored her vitals the whole way. When they arrived at the hospital, they transferred her care to the staff. And then Kevin Reddington stepped up for Cross for the very first time today. And he asked that question, if Narcan works on benzodiazepines. Costanzo said no. Reddington pointed out that Lindsay's wrists were already wrapped, her neck was stabilized, and she might have had bandages on her neck. Costanzo said he didn't see bandages, just the collar, and through the holes in the collar, he could see superficial lacerations with no active bleeding. Reddington got a little sharp with him here because he said, Reddington didn't like what he said. Take a listen to this.
When you gave Narcan to the body that was laying on the ground, she had already been wrapped up on her wrist, right?
That's correct.
Already been wrapped up, had the thing on the neck to prevent the head from moving, right?
That's correct.
And also it had bandages perhaps on her neck area, I'm not sure.
There were no bandages that I could see because
Just
the
the neck
collar
thing.
blocks. Yeah, most of it I could see. There are some holes in the collar that we could see some superficial lacerations through,
Right.
but there was no active bleeding. Her wrists were already bandaged, so we don't take the bandages off after they're on.
Okay.
And there was no blood
Good.
screws.
I asked the questions, you can answer them, okay? Narcan administered to Lindsay Clancy on the ground, yes?
In the ambulance, but yes.
And there was no reaction. It didn't have any effect on her, right?
She appeared to become a little bit more, she started like reaching and grabbing a little bit more than she was before.
That's consistent as well with a person who's had a head injury, right?
Could be.
Yeah. So in any event, the Narcan that you're trained would be dealing with opioids, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, did you know, sir, at all that she suffered a burst fracture of a cervical spine? Did you know that, sir?
No,
T5 through T6, T4, 6, 7, 8, all exploded, fractured. Did you know that?
no,
Did you know that there was hemorrhaging into her body, that she fractured every rib in her body?
no,
It was pretty dark out there, wasn't it?
it was.
Did you obviously administer aid to her, or did you also have like a flashlight on your head, or were you holding a flashlight, or what?
She was already packaged. She was already on the longboard and everything. So we picked her up, put her on the stretcher, and moved out of the backyard into the
All right,
ambulance.
so how long did you handle, if you will, her while she was laying there?
On scene, we were only on scene for, I think it was 7 minutes, I think, total on scene from the time that we.
Chaotic?
Yes,
And it was dark in the backyard, right?
yes,
There was no exterior lighting, nothing on the house that was lit up like spotlights or anything, right?
that's correct.
No flashlights, right?
No,
And you scrutinized a hole in the thing that goes around the neck when someone has a head injury, especially a cervical injury, thoracic injuries. You scrutinized a hole that noted that there was superficial wound to the neck.
that's all we could see through the side of the collar.
Who's waiting?
Me and my partner.
Was your partner scrutinizing the hole as well?
The whole, I don't
You
know.
said there's a hole in the thing that goes around the neck.
Yeah, there's holes in the collar that you can see through.
Right, and you were scrutinizing. You were looking through it, right?
Yeah.
You just told the jury you saw
Yes.
superficial part of the neck, right?
Yes.
Did your partner look through the hole as well? And you've talked about your testimony with the district attorneys in the past, haven't you?
Yes,
One of the things that they asked you is whether or not it appeared as though the injuries to her neck or wrist were superficial. Isn't that right?
yes,
And other than looking through the little hole in the thing around her neck in the dark, you didn't see her neck after that was removed, did you?
no.
That's all you have.
On redirect, Sprague pointed out that after those 7 minutes in the dark backyard, Costanzo spent 18 minutes in a well-lit ambulance with Lindsay. She asked if he ever saw blood seeping through the wrist bandages. He said no. She asked if he ever saw blood pooling around her neck or flowing from it. He said no. And that was it. And then came Daniel Dougherty. Sprague questioned him. He'd been with Duxbury Fire full-time for about 5.5 years and had been a paramedic for 4. He'd completed all the training and certifications. On January 24th, he was working a 24-hour shift as a firefighter paramedic. Sometime at 6 p.m., he responded to Summer Street in Ambulance 1. Firefighter Heath was driving and firefighter Chuck Nudd was in the back. When they arrived, 2 police cruisers were blocking or near the driveway, so they pulled ahead, stopped, and got out. Officer Hall directed them toward the side gate, and they headed to the backyard. They saw a woman on the ground, Lindsay. Dougherty remembers that she was wearing jeans, a tank top, and socks. He assessed her. She had lacerations on both wrists and on her neck. None of them were actively bleeding. The blood on her neck looked dried, and the cuts seemed superficial because there was no active bleed. Same with her wrists. He and the crew bandaged her wounds. He said they placed an ABD pad, a sterile pad, on her neck. He believed they bandaged the wrists first, but before any of that, they secured her airway. She was breathing on her own, but only somewhat responsive, reacting to painful stimuli. And as they moved her, she'd regained consciousness a little. And to secure her airway, they placed an OPA device, a plastic piece that depresses the tongue to keep the airway open. Then they put a non-rebreather oxygen mask on her. And then right around then, they heard the scream. Yeah, the scream. The scream. Dougherty looked at Captain and Heath. Everyone was trying to figure out what was happening. So they left. Heath went to get a backboard. Dougherty stayed with Lindsay. He started bandaging her wrists while Heath was gone. Eventually, Officer Hall came back to the backyard and asked if Dougherty needed anything. Dougherty told him he needed a backboard and explained where it was in the truck. Hall went to get it. Hall returned with the board. They loaded Lindsay onto it. Doherty said he believed Officer Hall and their retired deputy helped. They followed C-spine precautions. Someone held her neck steady while they moved her, making sure her spine did not twist. A collar was placed around her neck. They radioed their captain to ask who was transporting first, since they now knew there were multiple patients. He was told Pembroke was on the way and Lindsay would go with them. He helped bring her from the backyard and the Pembroke ambulance and helped to the ambulance and helped load her in. He did not ride with them. And after Lindsay left, Doherty went to their own ambulance in the driveway. Dawson was inside. Doherty rode with him to the hospital. His role was operating the bag valve mask, trying to push air into Dawson's lung. And then Reddington stepped up for cross-exam. He was ready for cross-exam again.
You know what the effect of hypothermia? Let me ask you, what's hypothermia?
It's just the body under temperature of the body.
Under temperature of the body?
Or your body is not at temperature that it should be.
Right, because of the environment, right? Cold, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it can be medically induced, right? Hypothermia affects the blood flow, doesn't it?
Yes.
In fact, you actually have a thing called therapeutic hypothermia, right? Like if they have to restrict the blood flow to either a heart or a brain or something, that a person can be induced medically to be cold.
Yes.
And it would restrict blood flow, right? So all these questions about whether or not there's blood seeping through the wrist bandages and whether or not there's blood through the holes on the neck brace, you don't know what effect the hypothermia, if any, had on that, would you?
No.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Redirect.
Sir, there's typically heat in a hospital, correct?
Usually, yes.
And were you aware that, Ms. Clancy went to South Shore Hospital, correct?
Yes.
And are you aware that the wounds on her wrist did not have to be sutured until the following day?
I didn't get any of that information after.
Were you aware that the wound on her neck never had to be sutured?
Same answer.
Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There was no cross beyond that, and the last witness of the day was Officer Vince Cahill from the Duxbury Police. He'd been with the department about 5.5 years, and on January 24th, he was on patrol. Around 6:11 p.m., he was dispatched to Summer Street. It only took him a couple of minutes to get there, and when he arrived, he saw a cruiser in the driveway, an ambulance, and a fire captain. He headed straight to the backyard. Lindsay was on the ground being cared for. He later learned it was her. And at some point, he heard loud screaming coming from inside the house. And because of that, he went in. He headed down to the basement, and when he got to the stairs, he initially went right, following Patrick Clancy. Patrick was coming from Cahill's left and moving to his right, screaming, just screaming. As Cahill came down the stairs, Patrick pointed toward the left side of the basement. That's where he went. And when he turned left, he saw 2 children on the floor. He checked the 5-year-old girl, Cora, for a pulse. She did not have one. Firefighters came down and started taking over, so Cahill backed up. And as he did, he bumped into the infant, Callan, who was also on the ground. He checked Callan's pulse too. He did not have one either. Firefighters took over his care as well. The room was crowded. So Cahill moved a large futon or ottoman to make space. He placed it on top of the couch bed, just like the photo in the Commonwealth showed. And after that, he was asked to get equipment for the children. He went and got it and brought it down to the basement. He also assisted with Cora, doing rescue breaths and CPR alongside Officer Josephine. He used a bag valve mask, timing the breaths every 15 seconds. At some point, Cora was taken out of the basement and into an ambulance. He did not recall whether he helped carry her out. She never regained a pulse or the ability to breathe while he was assisting. Later in the night, Cahill was assigned to monitor who entered and exited the scene. He kept the crime scene entry and exit log, documenting every person who came and went. That wrapped up his testimony. The judge then, surprisingly, ended the day there, saying the parties had things to sort out. And what is that they had to sort out? That we had a bit of an early day today? Well, the next morning would be, and that means tomorrow morning, there is going to be a tour of the former Clancy home. Yeah, the jurors will see this house, followed though by more witnesses back in court in the afternoon. So the tour is going to be very secure, with law enforcement securing the perimeter ahead of time. Only the judge, the jury, attorneys, and court staff will be there. Lindsay, the defendant, she's actually allowed to be there, but she will not be there per her attorney. And honestly, this home, I mean, I don't think she would maybe want to re-enter it anyway. But even if she did, or even if her attorney felt she should be there, remember, she's now in a wheelchair, and this is a 2-story, 3-story, a basement, a main floor, and a second story home. It'd be very difficult. The jurors, though, will get on a bus tomorrow morning. They're meeting at the courthouse at 9. They're heading to the house. They're going to view the home, which includes the entire outside of the home, the first and second floors, and the basement, before heading back to court for an afternoon full of testimony. And while there are very strict rules for the media during this tour, like basically not going, the same can be said for the jurors. They are not allowed to touch anything in this house. They're not allowed to open any closet door throughout the home. The tour of the house is particularly interesting to me because the new homeowners did not want the jurors in their home, understandably. I certainly wouldn't want my home to be part of a trial being live streamed. Not that it's going to be live streamed at the home, but even then, just part of this. However, despite the homeowners not wanting to do this, a court order is requiring them to allow the jurors in, despite the home being described as looking nothing like it did when the Clancys lived there. It's been completely remodeled with new owners. It's made me think a lot about how I would feel if I was a homeowner and there was a high-profile trial happening and a court forced me to let jurors in. Curious to hear what you guys think as well. And again, very, very different now today, right? I mean, I don't know if the floor plan has changed at all. Likely it has, but from what we have heard, it's been completely remodeled, completely redone, new owners, nothing like the Clancys. It was when the Clancys lived there. What are your thoughts about that? Another thing I want to point out, because we got out of court early, we did drive through Duxbury, learned about the town. I will say this. It was very interesting to see the town. It helped me. I imagine, remember, it's January, it's cold, and it's dark. This home was, it is a little bit more off the beaten path than I thought. Duxbury is very small, very beautiful. It is a beautiful neighborhood, looks like a beautiful Cape Cod neighborhood. It seems like certainly nothing bad ever happens in Duxbury. That would be my speculation driving through that town, which is why I'm sure the shock and of this crime is still affecting those first responders and everyone in that town. So it did help me to understand the lay of the land. I also drove past. This is great. This is good. I mean, talk about how unaware I am. Sometimes I think I'm so aware of certain things like the Buckingham Bow, right? But then there's other things that I can't believe completely like pass my mind. And I was thinking to myself, I want to see where the hospital where the children were taken. And lo and behold, it's next to the courthouse. And you actually look at it from you can see it from the courthouse. So every time Lindsay arrives at the Plymouth County Courthouse. She is looking at the hospital where her children were declared dead, where they were taken. Not, unfortunately, Dawson and Cora's last breaths were taken at Summer Street, but they were declared dead at this hospital, and it's right there, right by the courthouse. I knew it was close. I don't know. I knew it was close. I knew the building, and I just wasn't putting the two together. And then all of a sudden I'm like, that is literally it. That is it. So yeah. So Lindsay Clancy sees that hospital every day, every day. Anyway, yeah, I would love to know your thoughts. I'm going to answer a few questions here. What you think about being a homeowner. Happened 3 years ago. And let's see. Thank you. Oh, so good to see new members. A big thank you to Web Sleuth Live for being here. That means Trisha Griffith. Trisha's a dear friend. And for those new to our channel, Web Sleuth is an incredible channel that she often goes live nightly as well, covering recent crimes and older crimes, and raises money to help cold cases, author them, DNA solves. And she's a wonderful person. Thank you for being here, Trisha. Thank you, Dardine, for your support and your generosity. Caroline says, how does being in psychosis affect your ability to pre-plan? Where is Dr. John? Dr. John's preparing. Dr. John will be here each night. Right now, we want to bring you the latest from court, but as soon as we get a bit of a break, which I think is coming up, Dr. John will be here and I will relay this question to him. So, Colby says, so sorry you're here in Massachusetts for such a bad reason and with such crappy weather. Well, first off, thank you. It is a bad reason. It's sad to be back here, but I have many good memories in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is a beautiful state, and I love this state. And then as far as the crappy weather goes, back where I live, it's 120 degrees right now. So I'm good, Colby. I am good with this weather. I meant it when I said my hair might be a little frizzy, but I meant it when I said I enjoyed the fog and the rain and the wind this morning. Sincerely, I feel like this is like a tropical vacation weather-wise for me. Other than that, there are zero vacation vibes. But I am grateful to not be in the heat right now. So thank you. Will there be a journalist allowed to tour with the jurors? They will, as it is in other cases. No, there is no media allowed on the premises. There will be, I believe, some media outside, but there's very strict rules because they don't want them to film the jurors, and they're going to keep this very closed. The judge will be in there, though, to oversee everything, Judge Sullivan, as is both the defense and prosecution. Let's see. Shadow Flyer says, I am confused. The husband said when he entered the bedroom, there was blood everywhere. Yeah. Patrick Clancy explained it as a hose, like a hose had sprayed blood everywhere, that it was on every surface, and there was a puddle in the middle of the floor. That is what Patrick Clancy said. But they said when they found her outside, she wasn't bleeding out. Yeah, let's talk about that. And if there are any medical personnel that can share, I have confusion there too. We saw photographs of the blood in the bedroom, and Patrick Clancy's description, I'll just share this, certainly seems to be accurate. So that is true. It was January in Massachusetts. So I have a question for medical personnel. I was wondering, would the cold weather have something to do with it? Is it time? No, a trauma nurse weighed in. Grayson's telling me.
Actually impedes clotting, meaning like.
Oh, the cold weather impedes clotting?
Yeah, meaning like hypothermia and like the super cold could like actually make you bleed more.
Hypothermia and the cold could actually make you bleed more.
I Googled it when she said that, and I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, see if I'm not on the main chat. I'm just reading these starred ones. So if you see anyone weigh in, star it so I can, will you star those and I can, okay. Sugar-free cereal. They literally tore down the Idaho 4 house where the layout of the homes actually mattered. But then they want to parade jurors through this house. Why? You know, it's a great question. I agree. Why is it so important to tour this home? I mean, the jurors will certainly be able to get a better feel, but right, why some homes and why not others? As a homeowner, Jackie says, I would be willing to help if I could. That's good. Yeah. So
She said that she also stood in front of the mirror and cut herself, so that's where the blood is.
yeah, someone said Lindsay didn't cut or sever any arteries. So in other words, that's yeah. And someone else said a spinal cord injury with slow bleeding. We did see, someone just said it's too bad they didn't have photos of the wounds. You know, we did see photos of the wounds during opening statements, and I do believe that Defense Reddington did that on purpose to almost like get ahead of that narrative, because they're going to kind of, they said that they were superficial. The prosecution said that they were superficial wounds in opening statements. And so in Reddington's opening statements, the defense, he actually said, you decide for yourself. Look, and he showed the wounds of Lindsay in the hospital. And they certainly, let's just share this. Maybe she didn't sever any arteries. I'm sure we'll learn more as the time goes on and we hear from doctors in the hospital. But clearly she cut herself. Clearly there was blood, but there was not outside. And so I think there's just simply a lot more to learn. And I actually love discussing this because these are the things I actually think that the jurors are probably thinking about right now as well. You know, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? Yes. And someone said the fact that she injured her T-spine, I'd have thought she jumped out of the window face first. That's actually what Reddington, the defense, said in their opening statements as well. He said it was similar to if you dove into a swimming pool and hit the bottom, the same type of fracture, and that she hit head first. So she, in other words, essentially dove out of the window. Yeah. Yeah. Right. But nobody mentioned she tried 3 different things. So in other words, she crushed pills up. Sounds like benzodiazepines, which is why the Narcan didn't do anything. Then she cut herself in 3 places and she jumped. 3 things. 3. I thought wrists.
Just one wrist, right wrist.
I always thought it was both wrists. Oh, were there multiple cuts on wrists?
Yeah.
Oh, so because I was like cuts on wrist. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
See, even I'm like learning. Thank you guys. This is like my favorite part. Let's chat about this. Let's process it. Yeah. So what else? Yeah, they purchased the house knowing what happened, and there had not yet been a trial. Maybe they probably didn't think about that, but yeah. Shock, cold, clotting, hypothermia. Oh yeah, she may have landed on her head and her feet fell over. Right. I actually think that that's likely what they're saying, because again, Reddington said in opening statements, head first, that was her injury. So it would be, yeah, her feet would go over and then she would flip, and then her face would be near the house and her feet away from the house. You don't think so?
Oh, no, to this question.
Oh.
They haven't.
Yeah, Justice Jane, that's really interesting. Did Clancy have life insurance on the children? I have not heard that. I think I would have heard that by now. So, I mean, I can't say definitively because I haven't confirmed that, but I don't believe so. Nothing I've heard. It looks like such a cute New Englander style family home. I know, right? It's like picturesque, straight out of, Cape Cod. And let me tell you, this town is just as beautiful. It's actually even prettier in person. It's like a dream place to live. It's like straight out of I don't know, Gilmore Girls or something. That's what I think of. I'm like, it's charming, right? If you think charming, that's Duxbury and their home and their neighborhood. Yeah. And, how far are the neighbors? Nobody had a camera on the side of the house. Yeah. So first off, let's point out that I saw the home in July, and in January it's going to be very different because right now it's so lush. There's greenery everywhere. You can hardly even see the house from the street right now in July. I don't know what it would be like in the winter without the leaves. It would be very different. But no, the houses are not necessarily close together, not sprawling, fall apart. It's not like they're farms, but they're not super close either. So, yeah, if that helps to kind of clarify. And again, right now, there would be no way, I don't think, a neighbor could catch anything with a camera. But again, greenery be very different in the winter, but I could certainly see why maybe no camera would catch it. It's kind of far back and the homes aren't right next to each other. Am I explaining it well? We saw it together today. Yeah. We chose not to like film anything or take any pictures. We realized that another family lives there. We didn't stop. We didn't. Yeah, we just quickly drove by. We didn't. This wasn't like we didn't stop. We didn't want to linger. It was what? Here, jump on. Do you want to jump on with your voice at least, or no? Yeah.
I'll come over because it'll.
Oh, you'll come. Oh, yeah, because it'll echo. Okay. Okay. Grayson's coming over.
Just move the mic this way.
Yeah. Here, you can hold on. Just there you go. Yeah. You want me to move this way? Okay, there you go.
No, I'm just gonna move the mic. Hi. No, I actually the only thing I really noticed, I thought this was like a neighborhood. I've always thought this was a neighborhood, and then when we
Like, what do you mean by neighborhood? Because I saw it as a neighborhood, but like
I thought multiple homes and like maybe like a subdivision
oh
type
yeah,
thing.
you're thinking of yeah, well, welcome to Cape Cod. There aren't subdivisions.
I don't know. I grew up where there are. But I thought like a subdivision, but then it was like really actually just the houses were far apart, a lot of greenery.
It was just New England. It was just like Cape Cod, New England, like
Yeah, not
old windy streets, you know, that
Yeah.
have been there forever.
And actually what made me really sad was right as you like if they were exiting their driveway as they drive down the road, there's literally a watch for children sign.
Yeah,
Like that actually made me really sad because
I saw that too.
like it is so kind of like far out a little bit. It's out of the way. It's not like it's kind of out of the way. And so you could see that children probably do play there.
Yeah, it was
Grayson showing her Orange County.
Grayson. It wasn't like a subdivision. I'm like, yeah. Welcome to
know.
New England. That was great. Yeah. Grayson's showing her. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, hold on. I don't know what I just did. Oh. Am I here? Okay. So yeah, no, so we just I saw the same sign. You know what's interesting? We saw the same sign and we didn't really even mention it. It was just kind of sad. So I actually saw it. Or maybe I said watch for children, and then you go around the corner and it's like you see their house. So it was very sad to see that sign right before it. The homes are beautiful, and yeah, it's out of a magical storybook, or a Hallmark movie. You know, maybe that's a good way to explain it. A
Yeah.
Hallmark movie. Yeah. So I understand now. People have said this doesn't happen in Duxbury. I get it now. Also, very small town. Like we went in and then we were out of the town. It was like just you're like in and out. Like there's some stores that are in Duxbury and some that are out.
Nothing happens there.
Yeah, nothing happens there. You can tell. And so when you envision these first responders showing up, you know, I told you the transcription of the 911 call that we got, and we're actually have been like processing it. The part where at the very end he's screaming, and finally it's like somebody understands what's going on, and he says, someone says, oh shit, and we've disagreed whether or not it's the operator or first responders coming down. I actually think it was Officer Hall and Officer, what was it? Josephine. You still think it's the 911 operator?
The operator, and then maybe
Yeah, one operator,
because
one
the
officer.
first one was a little bit more muffled, and then the second one was very distinct.
Yeah. So, anyway, this town really is, yeah. And so I want to reiterate that we drove past very quickly. We didn't stop. We didn't even slow down. We didn't take a picture. We didn't film. We respected that. We just kind of wanted to get a feel of the land though and understand. And it did help us in understanding. And it was sad to see. And it is a beautiful home though. So I do hope that there is another family living in it that was able to remodel it and making memories and living a good life. And so, well, I understand the court order. It would be difficult.
Sweater.
Her Orange County is showing. They're making fun of her Cape Cod sweater.
I got here and I thought, I'll tell the story. I got here. Well, I looked at the weather.
So
it said 80 degrees. So I said, okay, I don't need to pack a sweater. Like it'll be warm. I brought like one sweat set, but I don't really wear them separate. I wear like the pants with the top. So I thought it's going to be warm. No worries. And then I got here and I was like, it is so cold. So my only option in a beach town was like a Cape Cod because I went to Target and I didn't like options. So here we go.
But here's the question. Would you rather be in this weather or in 120-degree weather?
This weather, hands down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like the humidity here.
Yeah. But anyway, so there you go. That's a little bit about what we're learning. And
people want to know the jury. 12 and 6. 12 women, 6 men.
Yeah, 12 women, 6 men, an extra large jury because they're going to have more alternates. This is such a long trial that they're making sure they're going to have enough jurors, and so they're going to have 6 alternate jurors. So that, in other words, if anybody bows out, they're going to have plenty of extras.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And very diverse jury.
I would agree.
Like age
range. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Are we staying the whole trial? Well, we've been talking about that for about 2 hours
We
today.
don't know. Short answer is we don't know.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
We're figuring out how we're going to be dividing forces, but we certainly want to cover this trial. We feel it's a really important trial. And again, Dr. John Matthias, my husband, co-host, and criminal psychologist will be weighing in soon. He does have some thoughts when it first happened, when we had less information, but still quite a bit of information. He did weigh in on the lawsuit and some other things, but he's watching the trial as well. And so we'll have some things to say very soon.
Okay, everybody keeps talking about, did you get that sweatshirt at Cuffy's? That's the place. No, I got it at some like side street place next to the beach. It was
like Pilgrim. It wasn't
a beach.
It was Pilgrim something. Everything in Plymouth is like titled Pilgrim this, Pilgrim
Yeah,
coffee, Pilgrim.
Yeah. It was near
Mayflower
Plymouth Rock,
souvenirs.
which by the way, not worth your time.
It's historical.
It's not, because we don't even know if that's the actual place. And then you show up and it's a little rock and they have a camera right next to it to watch everybody.
Well, legendary folklore is beautiful. They said that they decided it was the rock in like the 1700s. So, it's
2 out of 10.
I like the rock. I mean, you look at it and you're like, that's the rock. There's Plymouth Rock. It's really cool. And then we went across the street and ordered. This was the day off. This was Tuesday when there was suddenly no court, and I
had grilled cheese
and I had a corn dog. It was delicious.
It's like very
Today
American.
We did, because court got out early. We were like, let's go eat while we can, and we went to a restaurant it was beautiful so you could see the sea. And then Grayson says, I will take the Mexican bowl. And I looked at her and I was like, you do not, she's from California. I'm like, you do not order Mexican in Massachusetts. Get some crab cakes. No. So you pick something else. But then you're like, I really
like it.
So, and I got the crab cakes. So.
I didn't actually like anything there. Have you guys found your favorite food spot? No, but if you live here, email me with food spots, because I feel like we've got easy mac and ramen.
We found a place that we wanted to go to. This is one problem. We found a place that we wanted to go to, but then we couldn't get in. It was like 30 minutes and we don't have 30 minutes.
Yeah, true.
So then we went next door and we're like, maybe we should have waited 30 minutes, but it was still beautiful. So,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Sorry. Accidentally muted. Okay, anything else? Oh, that's sweet. Don't listen to anyone complaining about anything you wear, especially the cough. Thank you. I just like come with a cough. I think that our listeners know now I'm like the YouTuber with a chronic cough. But no, thank you everybody for your kindness and the cough. We will be finishing this and going back and editing a little bit. And by the way, for those that like these lives, the live chat, great. For those that just want a cleaner listening experience, we do that on our podcast. So yesterday when the audio didn't work, I completely like redid it for our podcast so that the podcast on Spotify and Apple would be cleaner. And so for those that, don't like this small talk that we're doing, and I actually just put a TikTok up today that said, I don't like small talk. I just want to get to like, so walk me through what happened. Let's just like, tell me everything.
Maybe not on YouTube.
But yeah, on YouTube, we do the small talk. Our podcast is probably for you and we edit out the coughs. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, people like the lives.
Oh yeah, I know. We like the lives.
Yeah.
Lives are best unedited. Well, I mean, I know, except for the cough. Like nobody wants to hear a cough in their ears. They're just like, it's like chalkboard.
Every time I wear AirPods Maxes, like those ones that go over your head, so I can like hear her while she talks and know when to like put clips up. And I swear, every time during sound check, she starts hacking, and my ears
okay,
feel like
TMI. TMI. Okay, Grayson, do you want to come down and hear again? We don't need to give them all the behind the scenes. Take a picture of the rock.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I took a side
Okay,
picture. I thought it was so not chill.
Go take it. I like the
I'll
rock.
show it. I have it right here. Hold on. Where is it?
It's history, man. It's like it's legendary. It's lore, right? Oh, you're like showing it? No,
Well,
here, give it to me.
Yeah, there we go. They can see it. It's nothing.
It's not nothing.
Right there. There's a little camera so they can watch everybody, and it says 1620, and it has a split. And I heard some Gen Z tour guide telling somebody they were like chipping away at the rock or something. I don't know.
Well, I like the
See, people.
Yeah, they said, see, Grayson's grounded. Yeah. Well,
Oh. Wow.
there's a lot. You want more behind the scenes? My mic doesn't stay, so I always need a notebook to sit it right here. And so there's like this notebook. Wait, it's got to go this way. This like is like just like a notebook hanging out here. Oh, and where I am, let's talk about that. We went. There was nothing in this hotel room that worked, so we've got a
This
card
person,
table from
Hater
Walmart.
Rock has a good point. How did they land on that?
Oh, exactly. Sugar-free cereal. It's historical. I know. I want to take her. I was like, so Grayson's never been to Boston. I'm like, oh my gosh. I feel like but like you need a week here. You gotta. You just got to go to like Paul Revere's home and Cambridge, and I mean, it's like everything that happened in Boston. It's like Boston or.
We did New York last year, and then I went to Washington, D.C. in 8th grade. And wasn't George Washington's house. It was somebody else. Maybe it was Thomas Jefferson. I don't think so. I don't know.
Aspen got you good. Come on, Boomer. You got to put your hand behind it to focus it. The rock. Okay, keep going.
No, I went to like some president's house that they like preserved. That was actually cool.
Yeah. Oh, loving the blanket. Okay. Thank you, chat. I'm loving the blanket on the chair. So cozy. So here's how this went down. Thank you. So each time we get to a hotel, we kind of have, and there's certain places in Utah and Idaho where we've attended a lot of trials, and we kind of
Can you
know.
move over? I'm like really uncomfortable.
Oh, okay, hold on. Just give me a second. I got to make room slowly. I'm crisscross applesauce, and she wants me to.
I know, but
you're
I'm
gonna
sitting
fit.
on the
You're
arm of
gonna
a
okay,
chair.
but I know what's gonna happen though. Hold on.
I'll be miserable.
Hold on. Behind the scenes. Hold on. Okay, sorry. You're such a
There, it's back on you.
Grayson's trolling me, essentially. Grayson's trolling me. Okay.
No.
Okay,
but
the story.
it's
They're
really-
reminding us of the story of the blanket in the hotel.
Oh yeah, get back to it.
So we didn't know what we were getting into at this hotel. There aren't that many hotels in Plymouth. It was a solid hotel. So, but it had one of those, and we've learned this with hotels where we do lives in, like some of the desks are like, nailed to the wall and others are loose. And so we realized we were going to have to go buy a folding card table at Walmart. So we had a
Happens a
Walmart
lot
trip. It
on
happens a
trials.
lot. Yeah. So we went to go get said table for all of the equipment. And I already knew that this was the chair that they had in our hotel. And the background looked very cold. So then we went to Target and I sat there shopping and Grayson was like, "Can we go already?" Like, what? I was like, "We need a blanket." She's like, "You do not need a blanket." And so scoot over for a second. So I bought the plant at Target and the blanket to make the set a little bit warmer. Oh yeah.
I can sit here.
Move the plant. You can sit there. There you go.
Oh,
So I just thought that our set needed to be a little bit warmer, especially after a sad trial. I thought that we wanted to come back to a little bit.
a brighter room.
Yeah. And it makes me feel good. And then I have this blanket on my I brought this from home. So it's actually my son's blanket and I bring it with me. So yeah. So there you go. That's that. Anyway, I want to thank a few people too. I know that we that was lighthearted, but I also want to thank the many people that have been reaching out about postpartum depression and their experiences with it. It's really helped us as we cover this trial, give insight.
Yeah.
And I also want to share that Grayson and I do have opinions, strong opinions on this trial. Actually, I'll say Grayson has stronger opinions about this
Very strong.
trial. I am actually working very hard to stay open and listen. I heard recently we were asked why we were not sharing our opinions because I really do. I want to go through this evidence with the jury. I want to stay open. I always say, change my mind. I don't want to be so stuck in my ways that new evidence or new facts can't be looked at. So I want to just lay it all out the way it's in court. That's kind of how I value covering trials. And I too have some opinions. I think that's probably noted in some of our first episodes on Lindsay Clancy. It's not like I've hidden my opinions in the past. We've done multiple episodes.
Yeah. Somebody asking, do we have the same opinion?
I would say that we
In some
definitely.
ways.
No, I think that yes, in that as far as the two extreme, like we don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would say that we're leaning the same direction. I just
Yeah.
think you feel more strongly
Yeah.
and are more emotional about things in a good way than not emotional bad, but like emotional It's
Yeah.
emotionally affecting. The way you feel about it is emotionally affecting you
Yeah.
a lot. So, yeah, it's emotionally affecting both of us, but I think that I'm just trying to stay a little bit more balanced. That sounded like a shade. I sounded like I was throwing shade at you. I'm trying to stay more balanced.
Oh,
Do you
you're
understand? Yeah,
you're
I'm
the
trying.
journalist. I get to just say my opinion.
So, yeah. So anyway, there's a little bit of behind the scenes. We haven't been sleeping much either because it's 3 hours past our time zone, and so we're struggling going to.
Like finally getting on.
And then we wake up and have to be in line at 6:30. So yeah, we're finally getting on the time zone, and so yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep last night, and your child's obsessed with Pokemon, so I somehow found out that Walmart was dropping Pokemon and sat in a line for 45 minutes on the internet.
Thank you.
Your child will be thrilled.
Yes, she is passionately emotional. That's a beautiful thing. Question from Aspen: what do you see the jurors responding to the most? Any standouts?
911 call, absolutely. I would say they're actually really like stoic. Otherwise, you don't see much emotion from the jury.
Yeah. Do you agree with my assessment of what I said about people just being a little bit more stoic here than at other trials we've attended?
Yeah.
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 So just more restrained.
Is Lily staying with John and your son? Yes, the daycare is full, so I'm sure she's just eating in.
Yes, Lily is with John and my child. Yeah.
I'm sure she's eating chicken nuggets and living her best life.
Yeah. Most people think that Grayson is my daughter everywhere we go, and I am just fine with that. It's easier to explain than, no, she's my producer and we attend criminal trials together. So if people assume that while we're traveling, I just let that go, because I do think you look a lot like me. So yeah. And you know what? I don't have a daughter, so I'm very proud of her. And if I had a daughter, I would want her to be just as ambitious and as you. And we never get in fights ever. Producer.
Never.
Yeah.
No, we always do about 5 minutes before a show.
Yeah. It's a newsroom. It's stressful. It's stressful.
And then it's love you, have a good show.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be really intense before a show because there is a lot of preparing that goes into these shows. And we are working very, very hard behind the scenes, which is why when we wanted to go to this eatery and they said, can you wait 30 minutes? We're like, no. We can't.
Y'all don't understand.
So we there is a lot of effort behind the scenes that goes into these, but we care, and we feel like this trial is really important. And also people have asked why we pick the trials we do. Someone else asked that, and it's because we're hidden. We want to understand the whys behind the crime. We want to understand what can we bring value to, and we want to have our, like I said, our own beliefs challenged and things questioned. And I think that this heartbreaking case is one of those cases to try to really dig deep and to understand and perhaps, learn some things for ourselves is what I mean, and I feel like Hidden True Crime, we work very hard to be factual, to be evidence-based, and care about the victims and honor them with dignity and victim-centered. And I feel like this is just one of those cases that we felt that, as we said, we could bring value to. So
Somebody said, how long have you guys been working together? Like a year and a half now? It's been
2 years.
a while.
Since Delphi, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Since
So
Delphi,
almost 2 years.
Indiana. Yeah. So
Wild ride. Actually, I asked you that the other day.
yeah, tell them that story here. Go ahead.
She
Go
was
ahead.
working,
Okay,
and
go
I
ahead.
walked in the office.
Okay, you can just talk. Here's the mic.
I got there, and I walked in the office. I don't know. I was like thinking that I was like, this has been almost 2 years since I've been working for her. So I walk in, I'm like, hey. I like get there, and I'm like, what's up? I was like, by the way, did you realize it's been almost 2 years since I started working for you? And I was like, isn't that like the best decision you made? And she just looks at me and goes, it's been a wild ride.
It has.
No, that it has. But I was just joking, and then I was like, you better say yes.
I mean, you guys have no idea.
I knew I was like baiting her with that question a little bit, but she comes back with some quick one-liners. You said something the other day too that made me laugh. It was really funny.
What was that?
I don't know.
I can't believe we're still here. This was not planned, but you know what? We needed to decompress. We might as well do it live on YouTube rather than just with each
I
other.
don't remember. I wish people could see the behind the scenes because you just say stuff and I'm like, how did you come up with that?
What do you mean?
What did you say? It was so funny. It was something. I had that little squishy on the plane. Oh, that
What are you doing?
that changed colors or something
And what?
in the sun. You made a joke.
Here, just sit. Whatever. I've given up. Just come sit on there.
You made a
Just
joke.
come
I
sit.
got this like little squishy. I
I
don't
can't
know.
believe we're doing this. Are we doing this?
It was funny.
Wait,
It was so funny.
No, but are we doing like? Are we getting? Or we're here.
Ow,
We're here.
I don't like sitting here.
I told you.
Ow. Bye.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of choices here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my little
Okay.
table.
Okay.
I don't know. I had like a squishy and I said something about the sun changes the color or something, and you came back with like a really funny one-liner about it.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, I've never seen somebody buy so many Neatos. You know what the Neatos are? Like the squishy stress
I
balls.
just like them.
Well, we all have a lot of stress, but none of us need 20 of them.
I don't.
And
have 20.
I'm
brought,
like
3.
I've like turned a new leaf. I'm a beige mom now. Like I'm beige mom. Like that whole like beige mom thing that I'm late to. I've embraced. We cleaned out the house. I've like John
You did
knows
find
like
me a beige one the other
no,
day.
I know she has so many of these and they're orange and they're blue
I
and you
just
bring
like
them to
them.
work and we work from the home a lot. So you bring them and they're like purple and I'm like, okay, I'm a beige mom. Like we were done with this. We cleaned it
You know
out. Like
what?
I even bought Lily beige dog toys. I'm like, I cleaned out the garage. I got stuff.
I know.
We built bookshelves for John. That's what it was ultimately. We bought bookshelves
She
for
bought
John.
Lily's beige dog toys and threw away Lily's favorite toy. At your
no,
house.
I didn't throw them away. You can have them at your place. Just I'm a beige mom. Like we're beige now. So
You know what? If anybody has kids, they know what these are. I like them.
So she's got 20 of these and she leaves them at our house. God bless you. And then goes back and then the next day brings another one. And then there's like 20 at our house and they're all these different colors. So I bought her a beige one. I was like, here's a look from your beige mom. Here's a beige sunflower and we'll leave this one at our house. And then I bought Lily a beige toy. So anyway, where was I going with
Velveteen
this?
Rabbit.
Oh, so we're on the plane coming here. and-
See, I love my Neatos.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I bought her one. It was beige. It was a sunflower. And so
And it wasn't good. That's why I bring the other ones.
we've got the dumplings too. Yeah, J Bob's. We have the dumplings.
That's your kid. I'm not into those.
So you bought them the dumplings. We have the dumplings because you bought them for them. So then what am I talking? Oh, so we're on the plane coming here and I look over and she has a new one. And I'm like, and she's playing with it. And then you said,
Oh, I said, I read this one like changes color with the sun if it's in the sun. I don't remember.
so I said, oh, it's your seasonal depression, Nito.
Yeah.
So like you can know when you're seasonally depressed.
There.
So, they're stress balls, right? So if it changes color in the sun, you can know
What
when
about
it's
the butter
seasonal
squishes?
and when it's just, life just sucks or if it's seasonal. So there you
My
go.
husband said I have impeccable taste in pens. That I do. I have expensive pens. I love pens at Quartz. Colored coded notes.
Yeah, beige. Everyone said beige goes with everything. Water bottles. They're beige.
Oh, mine's in the car. It's purple.
Yeah. While the beige moms were doing their thing and like realizing that, I was like Fisher
Aw,
Price
somebody said,
mom.
Please do this as many nights as you can, because it's a heavy one. I
Yeah,
like
thank you.
this.
No, and thank you guys for appreciating that. That yes, someone actually posted on X, why are you smiling? And I said, well, heaven forbid we ban smiling with a trial so sad, right? Let's smile while we can. I missed your glasses comment. Yes, I'll find them. Oh, my glasses are red. They're not beige.
I'm gonna take a poll about my squishies.
We all support your squishies. I support your squishies. You need a mood ring.
Oh, I had those when I was younger.
So thank you though for understanding that yes, we do need to decompress after these long, hard days. So, and you know, Buckingham's bow isn't always enough. So
Yeah, true that.
yeah. I want to thank my friend Joe, who yes, you guys saw her on chat. Someone asked if was that the legendary Joe, and indeed it was. But thank you. She is sending me some clove oil for my cough. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else? Yeah, I usually like bright lipstick too, but guess what? I've become a beige lipstick mom too. I'm just like, I'm in my beige era. It's just, you know, so.
I get the needles at Target. Somebody's asking. I'll find them at Target sometimes.
Yeah, where's the red glass? Where are my red glasses? And by the way,
Probably next to you.
we're looking down now because this is where we read notes. So even though I'm able to look at the camera during the live, I have to, we're looking down, and that's why we're looking down too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and this table holds my inhaler and my sore throat spray
Your hot
and my
tea.
hot tea and my beige water bottle.
And your like basically beige hairbrush.
Well, I'm not going to, yeah, my beige hairbrush. It's gold, beige, gold, same as these.
Legit, everything is beige.
So someone's asking, is your house redone in beige? So no, but what happened is for many, many years, those have been following our podcast, John is a book hoarder in all the best ways. Dr. John, my husband, he's amazing. I call him just John, but yes, yeah, you guys call him Dr. John, Dr. Babe. And so we finally did built-in bookshelves, not just in his office, but I said, you know what, babe, let's put them on every wall of the primary bedroom for you. So we got all of his books out, and believe it or not, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full walls now of bookshelves, and not all of his books fit. So some of them had to go into storage because I didn't want them in my garage. And after working for weeks and actually months on this, I started cleaning out everything. It was like
Everything.
And so after that, yes, it's like the one thing I can control in life. And yeah, so I've gotten a little beigey. Anyway, that's the story. So I'm sure that next year I'll give up and it'll be back to everything. But right now, it's nice. Oh, Web Sleuths, I made a mistake. I scheduled my live at 11:30 Eastern. I was supposed to be at 10:30. We go live when you're done, Lauren. Oh, okay. Well, and if you want to come on here, Trisha, we'll so everybody can head over to Web Sleuths after this live is done. Trisha has been a wonderful friend of Hidden True Crime and a good friend of John and myself and Grayson. And we love your show, Trisha. And I always call her the godmother of true crime because she was on YouTube and doing this for all of us. And she would reach out to everybody new and just say, welcome, you're wonderful. And has friends everywhere she goes and is just beloved and loved. So thank you for being here, Trisha. Web Sleuths next. Yes. And there's Joe. You're welcome. And look, I'm not coughing anymore either. Because it is, yeah. The coughing also is stress induced too. And it's not like criminal trials aren't stressful on preparing these shows. So forgive me, but yeah, laughing does help. So thanks you guys for letting us just to laugh Yeah, and Aspen, it's good to see you. Aspen's our friend too. He actually, Aspen was hanging out with us in Delphi, Indiana. So you were there when this began. So yeah. So like many of you out there, I have an autoimmune disease, and stress and nerves affect it. And so so it's not necessarily like the autoimmune disease causes the cough, but it's like the symptom of like the nerves. So if that makes sense.
I'm new to this channel. The interaction between these two is epic.
You have no idea. Like, I don't even know what. So, yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. So, I was a television reporter for 10 years, and there is a newsroom personality and a producer personality. And then there are, and when you find your people in a newsroom, people that have been in newsrooms know this, you find them and you take them with you, and they work well with you. And Grayson and I are, yeah, we're that. We work well. And so we're 20 years apart,
We
and
work well and have a lot of fun now.
we have a lot of fun. Yeah. There are, but you know what though? Imagine it. It is trauma. You know, these first responders, you saw this actually, Grayson, today. Let's talk about this. So for a moment, I was inside the courtroom and you had to go out to do something.
Yeah.
Well, I stayed in the courtroom. So when she was out there, all the first responders that were on that scene and testifying in court, plus more of them, were out in the hallway. And she's like, it was like a big reunion out there. They were all hugging each other and seeing each other. And you know, when you go through things that are stressful or traumatic, you know, you bond, and you guys, you know, these first responders experience everything together. They experience trying to save, you know, a 3-year-old boy for, I don't even want, let's like for hours, doing everything they can, and then go from like, I'm sure they're laughing together and having friends and buddies and getting drinks together. And so Grayson and I have been through a lot together. So when people ask about these types of relationships, welcome to your average newsroom. When you're reporting, it's very stressful. It's very emotional. We have seen horrific things together. We've cried together. We've
lots of cried. Lots
we've
of tears,
gotten
lots of
frustrated
laughter.
with each other. We've and we do a lot of laughing though. And the laughing, I think, is what laughing and those damn neatos are what get us through.
That's true.
And coffee.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, we have our newsroom moments working, but we're also, I always tell people, you're like my best friend because we work together every day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just so fun.
yeah. 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 Those first responders were very traumatized. Anyway.
And you can't work this closely with somebody if your personalities don't mesh well.
Yeah. Yeah. We laugh, we cry, we do everything. You're the most mature of the bunch when we're together. Oh, come on. Sometimes, Aspen. I mean, that was very sweet. And I would say sometimes, but like not all the time. So, yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll head over to Web Sleuths. Let's go continue this conversation over at Web Sleuths. No, I'm just like going to go in the chat and hang out. But I do want to thank everyone for letting us. This was completely unplanned. It will not be for our podcast listeners. It'll be our YouTube live only. But I do want to thank you. I think we both agree that we needed this. These trials are very traumatic for us. They're heavy. And so we do need this. So thank you. Thank you for letting us do this. Yeah. All right. I wish I could redirect. I don't know how to do that.
I can set it up.
We're going to set it up. Before we all take off, we're going to set up a redirect for Web Sleuths so that we can all be over there and give Web Sleuths your love and support. She does incredible things. And it all goes to DNA Solve to help loved ones solve those cases that need to be solved years later.
Yeah.
So tell us. Okay, I'm talking. I'm still talking. I can talk forever. I'm not coughing. I'm talking. yeah, so clearly my cough is gone, and then I'll have the clove oil too from Joe. And one thing I'm good at is talking. That I can do. So, yeah.
Oh, I can't. But
Oh, you can't? Okay, we can't. So we're going to post a link in for Web Sleuths, and everyone head over there. Yeah, head over to Web Sleuths. Give Trisha some love, and she's wonderful. She's wonderful. So
Maybe we can all chit chat later.
yeah, we can all chit chat later, and maybe we can do like a weekend chit chat. Let us know if you guys like. Or you know what? We need to start doing the members only. We can start doing this on like members only, because I think that's part of it too. Is, you know, it's hard to always do these and get them mixed up with our other coverage, but maybe we could do like a members only thing or something. Anyway, this has been nice. Again, once more, thank you for allowing us to sort of decompress during a very heavy, difficult week. So we'll see you over on Web Sleuths.